She is a prideful, arrogant, mercurial woman who shares my bed far too infrequently for my taste. And yet, I love her deeply. We Klingons often tout our prowess in battle, our desire for glory and honor above all else. But how hollow is the sound of victory without someone to share it with? Set a course for love.
Ah, yes. One of your earth emotions.
Glad I found you.
Let's get married.
Delete the wife.
Welcome back to Deep Space Love, the Star Trek podcast where a married Trekkie couple explore love in all its forms across the final frontier. I'm Nicole, one of your hosts.
I'm Joe, one of the other hosts. Don't
Oh,
even make a comment because you know it's going to keep going.
I know, but it always catches me off guard.
Mhm.
Well, anyway, okay, so yes, we're both hosts, but we have a third person here with us today.
A guest host, if you will.
Is that how it is?
Could be.
Okay. You know what? It's a good thing, though. Like, I don't really have a script because you kind of always throw me off. Always throwing stuff in there.
That's why you asked me to be your co-host.
Is it, though?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I bring to this.
Okay. Anyway, back to our guest. His name is Ryan Mintz. He's a longtime friend of the podcast and friend outside of the digital world as well. He's a Trekkie, and he's recently completed his journey through nearly all the series, kind of similar to us. I think you're recently wrapping up on the Enterprise finale. Is that right?
I just finished Enterprise like 3 days ago. So now I just have Prodigy and the motion picture, for some reason, left to watch.
What? You haven't watched the motion picture?
You know, that's a logical place to conclude my journey through Star Trek, right?
Yes.
Like a full circle thing. I kind of like it. It's poetic. Also, we just got the new 4K like director's edition, so it's a good time to wait for the motion picture to finally be out.
Like, you own it, or it's just coming out?
Both, actually. Just came out and own it.
Yeah.
It just came out and we own it? Or
Yeah.
did you pre-order it?
It's on the shelf right now.
Oh.
Yeah. Came out probably like
I mean,
several months, probably late last year.
I've really only ever seen any of the Star Trek movies because you invited me over to watch them on your DVDs. So
yeah. Anyway, welcome to the podcast.
We just kind of jumped right into it.
Is that why we're here?
It is. Yeah. So for listeners, Ryan Mintz has been a friend of the pod, one of our original fans, first episode on. And so we definitely appreciate your listenership. We've known each other for a while in college. We were also on the same rugby team, to make us sound cool.
Mm-hmm.
Go Gophers.
Go Gophers, yeah.
Go Gophers.
So that's how we initially met. But yeah, then we've continued our friendship and stayed with together in Star Trek Fellowship.
We also traveled together in Europe for.
That's true. We did. We visited you in Sweden.
Mm-hmm. And we hiked the Alps in Austria.
Yeah, we got attacked by bees. Everything was great.
That was a good time. It was an old castle with bees on it, so that's kind of a cool story.
Yeah. Well, I'm the only one that got stung. I don't know if there were
you
bees.
should run faster.
So it was on the ground. Isn't that a wasp's nest?
There's ground dwelling bees.
Oh,
I have no idea.
Whatever. Those insects were.
And anyway, this is Star Trek B-Cast.
Yes. Okay. So, now since it's your first time actually on the podcast, you did your homework, right?
Joe assigns so much. So if I can steal a Khalidism and drop some sausages here.
Oh my God.
Sausage bits.
Oh, no.
If you come on the podcast, Joe's going to assign you like 5 different pieces of homework. So
I literally asked you to look up one thing.
Did you just send him? Whatever. I'm going to assume you did the homework. All right. So first,
I have done the homework.
Why do you love Trek?
I love Trek because of the world in which it exists. So there's a lot of like weird margins that the show can play in, or sometimes hopefully it doesn't, so that you can just like sit there and make headcanon and think about things. So it's just a fun universe where like you can draw your own conclusions about things, and then it's like a place for them to write very disparate stories. Like you can get a story about relationships like we have today, or you can watch the Ferengi go back in time and meet the 1940s military base people, or you can have A Measure of a Man, where like they really toy with like some very heavy facts. So it kind of broadcasts all across the spectrum of things that I enjoy.
All right, now since you've watched nearly all the series, what do you consider kind of either your favorite or your home base, like your crew or your show?
TNG is the home base crew. Everybody there is so competent and good. There's not really, like in Deep Space Nine, you get a little bit like Sisko's a war criminal and should be in prison. He destroyed a planet and framed a diplomat. But like everybody on board the Enterprise is, it's competency porn. So everything is good, everything is great, and you trust everybody implicitly.
Oh, I have so many questions right now, but I'm going to just hold off. But, God. Okay, last but not least, who in the Star Trek universe would you want to go on a date with, whether it's just like a friend date or a romantic date? It can be either one.
Well, whether or not it's romantic date is if I live up to his standards, but it's definitely Martok, because he's... First off, you have to pick an alien, because if you're in Star Trek world, why would you ever not? I mean, I can date boring human people here. But Martok himself is just so confident in everything he says, and there's some nuance in there for him, and he's just my favorite overall character because he's really funny and interesting every time he's on screen.
It's a good answer, and I'm surprised I didn't anticipate you coming up with that one.
Yeah.
I mean, you're the one who kind of brought this topic to us, so it makes sense that you choose that one. Yeah. What would Sirella think?
The caveat of that is Sirella is not allowed to exist in this universe because she pulled a knife on her daughter-in-law. I don't know what she'd do to me.
Yeah. Good point.
Mm-hmm. I'd be scared.
All right. Well, good answers there. Should we, I suppose we should move on to the next segment, huh? Or did you have something else?
No, I'll just ask him those questions later.
What questions?
I don't know. What did he say? Oh, yeah. Okay, you only named, Sisko, in war crimes. Technically, didn't Picard commit war crimes also?
Picard's perfect. You can't...
I just had to, push back on that just a little.
Perfect, yeah, I guess.
I'm not here to defend that thesis, so I haven't prepared.
That's a homework assignment for another day.
That was not one of the homework assignments. All right. Before we get into the meat of the episode, the relationship in question, we have a segment in which we kind of just wrap up, or not really wrap up, but go over some pieces of Trek news or news that are tangentially related to the Star Trek in general. So I have a few interesting pieces that I'll go through and a few that we might linger on, discuss a little bit. So are you guys ready?
Maybe. I don't know.
I didn't do my homework for this part.
You don't have to. I just tell you things and you think about how you feel about it.
Computer, status report.
What the hell was that?
All right. So I have a few kind of just some interesting drops. We don't have to really talk too much about this, but a few Trek actors have just announced books that are coming out. Patrick Stewart has a memoir that's supposed to come out this fall called Making It So, that would be kind of interesting to read. One that I'm really fascinated by, another actor who was in the original series, Sandra Gimple, whom people might not know the name of, but she played the salt vampire, the actual monster in the suit. And she also played a Telosian in the cage. She's a very famous stunt woman from that era. And she is actually going to be writing a memoir. It just came out actually about her experience in Hollywood as a stunt woman, called A Stunt Lady is the book. I'm actually kind of intrigued. She did a lot of creature work like that, like the Salt Vampire too. So that is a book that I think will be interesting. And another kind of pseudo book related news. We also heard from DC Comics announcing that Michael Dorn is joining their writing team to take on a new Shaft series. So it's a superhero series, but Michael Dorn is making the jump to comic writing. So I thought those were kind of interesting pieces of news.
Has he ever written any fiction before?
I don't know. Actually, that's a great question. I'm kind of intrigued to see what he brings to that. But let me look it up real quick. Michael Dorn writing. He wrote. That says list of books. Yeah, it looks like he's written things.
Is it the same Michael Dorn or a different?
There's
Michael
a Western
Dorn?
book. I don't know if it's actually him. No, now the next article is just him about writing Steel. It might be his first foray into writing, so we'll see how that goes. Good luck, Michael Dorn. He's
also
a loyal
the
listener.
Salt Vampire.
Yeah,
made famous by Smash Hit Podcast, Frankenstein's podcast.
Yeah, we did talk about that on there, and we talked about Sandra Gimple on that episode too. That was a fun one.
What's her memoir called?
Stunt Lady.
Okay, sorry, you were talking really fast.
Yeah, no, I think that's going to be a fun one. Yeah, Assault Vampire. I mean, the episode's pretty good, but I think the Assault Vampire is just such a memorable like creature from TOS. It's I don't know, it's iconic,
scary looking,
super scary, but awesome. Also, in terms of comic news, the ongoing Star Trek comic from IDW, the one that's focusing on Cisco and kind of a motley crew of various like Star Trek famous characters, is actually just nominated for an Eisner Award for Best New Series. So it's kind of exciting. I think it's been a pretty solid series so far. So well deserved, I'd say. Congrats to that team. I do also have, so here's some of the bigger news that I've got for you. There's not a whole lot of big Trek news, given that there's not a current series running. We did get a Strange New Worlds trailer. Mintz said, did you see this?
You know I don't watch trailers.
That's true. You're not a big trailer. But the big news that's been kind of all over the internet right now, and so Nikki, you can respond to this. We get our first glimpses of live action Tawny Newsome and Jack Quaid for the crossover app.
Oh, I'm really excited for that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be really cool. And they do a good job. I was really excited. Of course, there's been like stills all over the internet, but I've been really excited to see like the way they brought the uniforms to life. Like I was not worried, but like it probably could have been really easy to make them just like look not super detailed, given it's just like a one-off, but they look like they spent a lot of time like really rendering and making
team.
Cool. Definitely not this. Yeah, definitely not this team. True. But I'm sure it's something that could be easy to be done in some things. But that's really exciting. So excited?
I am stoked. Yes.
Yeah. Mintz, you excited for that crossover?
Yeah. I mean, I've been really happy with Strange New Worlds so far. So they have a lot of leash to do whatever they want. So anything big they're going to do, I'm excited.
Yeah, the trailers for season 2 look pretty exciting. It looks like there's I also saw, just glimpsing the trailer, it looks like there's going to be a courtroom episode. So I'm excited for that too. Love the good courtroom episode.
Oh yeah, we haven't had
a
good court martial.
We get Lawyer Pike.
Lawyer Park.
Do we?
I hope so. I got a good science piece of news for you all. This one I'm really excited about. I don't know about it. There's questions with it, but it's an interesting concept. So, researchers from the Academy of Military Sciences in Beijing have said that they believe inserting genes from the microscopic tardigrade into a human embryonic stem cell can help significantly increase the cell's ability to withstand radiation. So it's a study. I have an article from Popular Mechanics. I found this in, which I'll post in here. It's related. It just reminds me of like how Stamets and Discovery like kind of melded his DNA with the tardigrade DNA. In this case, the scientists used the kind of like CRISPR gene editing tools to take the genes from the tardigrade that produce shielding proteins and inserts them into artificially cultured human embryonic cells. They have to emphasize artificially cultured so that it's a legal thing. So that's what they're saying in the paper. That is this allowed the cells to survive lethal exposure to X-ray radiation. So what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, lots of questions, but that's really cool. I mean, very unique idea, and I mean, I wonder how far they can take that, but
gene science scares me because genetics, if you're a smart guy, scares me. I only ever see the capacity for evil within that.
True.
I feel like even like Star Trek has shown us like the gene meddling is like what the eugenics wars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like Khan and everything. Yeah.
But I mean, in a more optimistic sense, it could probably be used to make humans better at space travel because of the lack of magnetic fields to protect them out in
Yeah, I got to imagine that's like an implication that would be a big piece of this kind of research. I don't really know what like maybe their ultimate end goal is here, like what they're looking at specifically, like protecting from. But it's a fascinating idea.
But you said specifically X-rays, right?
Yeah, it says lethal exposure to X-ray radiation was the quote in the article.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. Yeah, Star Trek in real life. One last small piece of news. This isn't Star Trek, but I consider it Star Trek tangential. There's a show I think both of you have not watched, but Babylon 5. J. Michael Straczynski, who's the showrunner and the creator of that show, just announced that there's going to be a new animated movie following the series called Babylon 5, The Road Home, bringing back like several members of the original cast. And that's kind of he announced like been in production secretly for a while, so it should actually be coming out sooner rather than later. So if you're a space opera fan or a Babylon 5 fan, or maybe a Star Trek fan who hasn't checked it out yet, maybe now's the time to jump on it. Babylon 5. Good stuff. I enjoyed the show. I'd like you to watch it too.
I like how your definition of Trek check was subtly changed to include like stuff alongside, but not directly related to Trek.
I think it's interesting. Yeah. We're growing.
He's allowed to check whether Trek is feasible.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that in the future quote thing. That was good.
What did he even
I don't know.
say?
Can you say that again? Because I don't remember what you said.
Nope.
Okay.
You're recording this. You can look it up later.
Fortunately, it's forever recorded. It's our intellectual property now.
Okay.
Trademarked.
Well, thanks for all those updates. That's quite a bit actually, considering we you said don't have like a current series running or anything, but
yeah, I mean, there's not like a big like discussion of like what do you think of these episodes that we've just watched or something, but some interesting news tidbits, I think. Yeah.
I really have to ask Mintz though what your thoughts are on the ending of Enterprise. I just want to know real quick.
Since you just finished it,
Since
yeah.
you just
the finale?
Yeah. Well,
it was fine. I mean, I was primed because I had heard Joe say that everybody hates it. But like, if it was an episode in the middle of the series, it would have been enjoyable. It's an interesting way to tell a story. It's probably a bad conclusion, but I prefer like each episode in a vacuum style Trek, Monster of the Week style. So that's how I tend to watch them. So I don't really care how it fit into the bigger picture. As an episode, it was interesting. And it had Jonathan Frakes. But one thing it did have was metal rolling pin. Metal rolling.
Yeah, you texted me about this.
Terrible material for a rolling pin. Really took me out of the immersion.
It had to look futuristic. Everything's metal in the future, I guess.
Yeah, so in the sense of their baking equipment, terrible.
Yeah.
Maybe it's some special metal that hasn't been invented yet.
It's true. Like, could have been whatever the opposite of transparent aluminum is.
I was just thinking that how could I fit transparent aluminum into this like piece? But yeah, I don't know how that would work. Yeah. Like non-trans. I mean, wouldn't that just be regular aluminum?
Well, it'd be opaque, not aluminum.
Like, we're just like reinventing regular aluminum. All right. Should we move on to our the meat of the episode? The sausage, if you will.
Offensive to the vegetarian, so
The tofu?
The main
protein?
course. You could just call it the main course.
I could. Yeah, I
could.
I could do that. Yeah. All right. Oversight. Anyway, so for this episode, we are talking about the relationship between Martok and his wife, Sirella. Sirella only, she's mentioned in other episodes, but really only appears in the single Deep Space Nine episode, which would be season 6, episode 7, You Are Cordially Invited, which is the Worf Dax wedding episode. Is more famous for that. So it's actually more famous for a separate romance, but this is the biggest glimpse we get into these two as a couple. So we are going to talk a little bit about that episode, about their relationship, and kind of just about Klingon courtship in general, just because it's an interesting place to go. But just to get some initial thoughts, maybe just general sense, what do you guys think of rewatching this episode kind of in a vacuum here for the podcast? Ryan, Mintz, why don't you start?
This episode's dumb. I don't really enjoy it. But like, I understand why I remember why I picked it, because I love the way Martok, we'll get into that later, talks about his wife. But this is one of those silly episodes, like how I talked about earlier, that Star Trek can do whatever it wants, and it's just goofy. It's got the scene of Bashir and O'Brien like hanging off the bar, talking for a minute and a half about how they just keep saying "kill Worf" repeatedly. So it's not great Trek, but it's funny. It's interesting.
How about you, Nicole? What do you think?
It is kind of all over the place. It's in a few different directions. And in fact, they packed so much into this episode, or they attempted to, that like they kind of forgot about Kira and Odo. That's it's kind of part of more of like, it's not really related to what we're talking about, but just like as an episode, since we're talking about it overall, that aspect of it is essentially a lot happens off screen between those two, which is interesting. Just shows you how much they kind of put into this single episode. And
did they pick
yeah,
that up?
What was that?
Do they like clean that up in the next episode? Do you know?
I don't think so, because at least when I was kind of reading about the episode, it sounds like they discussed how it was kind of, in hindsight, it was a mistake to not really have that fleshed out on screen. You know, because I mean, it probably would have been a really intense conversation, really dramatic, but but then it just kind of happened off screen, and it was almost kind of like a joke. They were like, "Oh, whoa, we've been in here for hours and hours talking, and we have to get back to, we're on duty right now." So, anyway, and then you've got kind of the two, kind of the bachelor party, the Klingon bachelor party happening, and also Dax or Jadzia trying to win Sirella's affection or approval, rather, and also kind of throwing her own party, and then there's kind of some other ancillary stuff because this is sort of in the middle of the Dominion War arc, so it's doing a lot of heavy lifting, but it's very humorous. A lot of the whole joke about O'Brien and Bashir assuming they're going to have this kind of like 4-day long Klingon party with probably lots of blood wine and like whatever, you know, whatever they think they're getting into, and then like the actual ritual being one of like basically punishing yourself. Anyway, that was very comical. I mean, I like the Dax and Worf relationship and where that's going. But also, you're right. It does give us a really cool insight into Martok and his kind of his personal life. We see a lot of him like in Martok, the general, and you know, the military, the warrior. But yeah, seeing a different side of him was a treat. What do you think, Joe?
Just to jump in the middle here, you pointed out that Kira and Odo like is another relationship that just got glossed over. Seems like a missed opportunity in hindsight to, because we already have the two relationships between Martok and Sirella and Worf and Dax that are somewhat juxtaposed against each other. But that would have been another third one that they could have played and, you know, leveraged against those two in a different way.
Yeah, if only it had been made in a time like now where you can kind of make episodes as long as you want them to be or need them to be, and kind of fluctuate that. But back then when it was like to the minute nearly the amount of time you have.
We could have cut Jake out of the episode entirely and not had him walk around talking about how he had a book signing or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
C-plot, yeah. This book, poor Jake.
It was like the D plot. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. No, that's exactly my thoughts, though. It's like the constraints of being like, what, 40 some minutes that this had to be like, this should have been probably a 2-parter where they were able to give some of those stories like weight and like room to breathe. And, or like now it could, I mean, even 2-parter maybe been too long, but now it would have been maybe like I don't know, like an hour and 5-minute episode or something in Star Trek. But yeah, it just needed a lot more. Like the idea that, did you mention this already, that the resolution between like Sirella and Jadzia was off screen as well? Like she's like, what Cisco's like, oh, apologize.
Yeah, I was going to get into that. Yeah, that is again another disappointment where there were definitely things that probably could have been cut that they added in for humor to sacrifice.
First,
sacrifice it.
Sirella tries to stab Dax in the back, and then the next scene we see them together in there is the wedding.
Yeah, it should have either been trimmed down and more tight in storytelling or spread out over 2 episodes.
For sure. Yeah, it's interesting. And then in that scene too, in the wedding scene, she calls her my daughter, right? So that's like it's evident that they made up, but
Huge
like
180,
we
yeah.
needed. I wish we would have seen that.
Yeah.
Would have been a good scene. Yeah. So
I do love the scene with Cisco and Jadzia, though. That's
Oh,
great.
that's great.
that is a good sequence. Yeah.
When what's his name, Avery Brooks, gets to act big. He's always great at that.
Mhm.
Yeah. He has a good presence. Should we I did a little bit of background research into the character of Sirella, of what we learn about her outside of this episode. So before we kind of like dig into like Martok and Sirella together in this one, I just kind of want to mention what we learn a little bit. So we learn that when she marries Martok, there's a story that Martok tells Cisco in the episode Strange Bedfellows. He says that she accidentally left the door of the house open, allowing Martok's pet Targ to escape.
Air quotes,
Accidentally, yeah. And so even though she was responsible for the loss of the creature he had since he was a boy, Martok later told Cisco that he would, quote, not trade Sirella for all the Targs on Kronos. And I like that quote. The reason I kind of pulled that is because it kind of ties into his speech that he has, which is the quote I'm going to pull from the beginning of this episode too, where he's talking about how she's like abrasive, arrogant, but he just like loves her with all the fires that he has possible. And like that, I think why the reason, Mintz, why you brought this to us is like, it's interesting, like given that he's such like an amiable, like Klingon, like an amiable character that we all really like. And she's just a very abrasive, like harsh person, and that they're drawn to each other is the relationship is so interesting to unpack in a lot of ways. We also learn about Sirella that she claims to be, we learn this might be not entirely true, of noble descent, tracing her maternal lineage back to Shannara, Shannara, daughter of the Emperor Reclaw of the Second Dynasty. However, as we learn when Jadzia is reciting the lineage, her 23rd maternal grandmother was actually named Karana, a concubine. So kind of some skeletons in her closet that she doesn't want to really take out.
Do you think Martok knows?
I could see Martok knowing, but also being like of the kind like when he was having the conversation with Worf, he's like, "Oh, don't bring it up with her." Like I could see, be like, "I'm never going to talk about that." You know?
I don't think he brings it up.
Like he's afraid of her, and that's I feel like that's what like gets him going about this whole relationship. He is like afraid of her.
Well, so this is interesting. So one of the kind of fun facts I found out about this episode was that I guess Ronald D. Moore saw this episode as a way to kind of correct what he determined to be an accurate impression of Klingon society that he sort of took part in creating in the first place. After TNG, he kind of felt he'd unintentionally shoved Klingon women into the background, promoting the view that they were unimportant to the functioning of their society. I guess there's a reference in one of the TNG episodes in which women cannot sit on the Klingon High Council, which I guess is kind of held. I mean, I don't know if we ever see women on the High Council. So
we see L'Rell take over the Klingon like in Discovery. So it's like retcon sense.
Yeah, which has been done, right? Women can't be starship captains either.
That was the case in Discovery time, and then by the time TNG happened, 100 years
maybe
later.
It regressed. That could be. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's an interesting point.
Societies do that.
Yeah.
So I guess so this episode was sort of giving women a role. So like being women rule the houses, and so the mistress of a great house wields unchallenged power in terms of the functioning of the house, which I guess they felt restored a degree of balance to Klingon gender roles, which I'm not entirely sure I would necessarily agree with, but at least it gives them something to do, as opposed to, because we do not see a whole lot of female Klingons necessarily throughout all of the Star Trek franchise.
But it's weighted. Sisters.
Yeah, I mean we do, but like,
and those two women who want to see how Riker would endure.
Yeah.
Yeah, good ones.
But yeah, so they were like, it felt almost like Ferengi society and that it was completely male dominated. So giving Sirella this sort of like role, they were trying to change that. So that was interesting to me.
Yeah, that is interesting. I think, I mean, it does give us a lot of the pieces that we learn about kind of, yeah, some of the Klingon like ritualistic like coupling and mating and that kind of stuff, or like wedding stuff. It's yeah, I think that's fascinating. Like it's a big expansion of their culture there. I did do also just like a little bit of like more, I know we want to talk about Martok and Sirella here and we'll get back into it, but some more general like stuff about what Star Trek has kind of given us about like that Klingon kind of like relationship courting era, like you were mentioning, Nicole. We learn a little bit about that in kind of early TNG, and it's mostly in those episodes with Worf. And do you guys remember Kalar?
Yeah,
I do not.
Alexander's mother. So she was in 2 episodes, and she was kind of like a like on and again, off again, like relationship with Worf that I think she ends up dying eventually, but she's in a full episodes, and we learn in the episodes that she's in that it's established that Klingons traditionally mate for life. It was not uncommon for them to take the commitment oaths like right after one encounter, so they're deeply they could be deeply affectionate. So we see in this episode, the DS9 episode, the Klingon marriage ceremony with several witnesses and the reenactment of the Klingon creation myth. The much briefer oath of marriage required no officiant or witnesses and was accepted legally and socially as constituting marriage by mutual consent. So that's what we learned in TNG. So they could do either one. But I thought for how silly this episode was, I did think the marriage ritual was kind of cool. Like I like that it's based in like a story, like telling a story as they're coming together. I kind of thought that was interesting. What do you guys think of that?
That really played well for me. Like Sirella, for the most part, presented it well, or the actress. Dax's line was kind of weird in it, but I don't remember exactly why I thought that.
Which line?
I don't know. She says one line during the ceremony, and either it was delivered weirdly or it was written weirdly, and it wasn't as good as the rest of it.
It was something about like stopping the fight and we're joining together as one heart or something, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the idea is like, oh, it's like the 2 warriors, and one had a stronger heart, and then the one with the stronger heart's like, stop, like we'll join together and bring our hearts together or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It just seemed a little wooden to me, I think.
Yeah. I wonder if it's in character, because she's just like, I've done like, what'd she say, like 5 marriages already?
Sure, 6 wedding.
That could be the thought
That's
process behind that.
Yeah.
Good job, Joe.
I like that. Also we learn in TNG too, like they talk about how, and we see here, like Klingons did not often like non-Klingons mating with members of their houses. Like it was kind of like a scandalous thing. Mm-hmm. And so Sirella, we learn in this episode, also didn't care for Worf joining the house because like him being like ostracized from basically Klingon society in general, like kind of giving up his house title. In a sense is like seen almost as a non-Klingon or as an outsider. And so she didn't she felt like that was kind of an impure element to it. But weddings parts aside, we also learn it's not uncommon for Klingons to break multiple bones during amorous play. In fact, fracturing a clavicle on the wedding night was even considered to be a blessing on the marriage.
Yeah, Dax and Worf showed up in sickbay that one time.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. We also learn. You guys remember this? We learned in Disco at the finale of Discovery Season 1 about Klingon anatomy. They have 2 wieners. Yeah.
Whoa, weird! Yeah. I totally forgot that.
I feel like a lot of people have
not your only takeaway from Disco Season 1.
No, it's a big. I feel like a lot of people want to forget it, but it's
2 big deals.
Yeah, it's 2 big deals.
We only have a couple examples, but I do feel like this episode kind of highlights at least what we're seeing from Martok and Worf, like the sentimentality of Klingon males, which is also like an interesting thing. It's kind of an interesting contrast to like human males in general. Like I feel like they tend to show a little bit more emotion, and frankly a little bit more than like a lot of the female Klingons that we tend to see, like at least Sirella. And again,
Like the Duras sisters too, for example. Like
yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So I don't know, that's an interesting contrast, like just the way that society is presented, culture is
I don't
presented.
get the feeling that's the result of the Klingon society. That's the result of the subsection of Klingon women we get to see. Like they're all played specifically to be big, mean, and scary. You know, there's Sirella and the Duras sisters, and that one that Quark is married to for some reason.
Grelka, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to do that one sometime.
I would love to do that one for sure. I think that's a kind of a good transition point, like talking about the sentimentality of like the Klingon males, and Worf especially, like talking about, like Jadzia talks about how he's such a traditionalist and wants all these things to be lined up perfectly. Mintz, you kind of did some research into the this is where you get to bring your homework into it, the Klingon bachelor party.
Yeah. Well, so the 6 trials of the Klingon bachelor party were deprivation, blood, pain, sacrifice, anguish, and death. The only ones we see on screen, as far as I could tell, were that they have to fast. I assume that's deprivation. Alexander passes out at some point and says, "Stoke the fire." So something to do with fire, but hard to say where that fits into the thing, into the
It's
6
really
trials.
hot. Yeah, they're like really hot in
Yeah.
there. Maybe that's anguish. I don't know.
Yeah. Bashir and O'Brien get roasted over the open fire. I assume that's pain.
Yeah.
While they're plotting to kill, well, not even plotting, just saying they're going to kill Worf. And then during the wedding, they attack the groom. And that could symbolize death, I guess. It doesn't seem very Klingon to have a fake death, but if you, in my searches to try to figure out like where these things were born from, I just ran into a bunch of doofuses online who were making their own Klingon bachelor party. So they listed out all the trials they did, and none of them were particularly interesting.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So I took this homework assignment a different direction, and I started looking up some the history of bachelor parties and weird bachelor party things from around the world.
So you went down a rabbit hole.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, always.
So according to yourbatchparty.com, or possibly your Bach party, if you're
Your bug party. I love it.
bachelor parties date back to 500 BC and were invented by Spartans. And a groom's friends polluted him by forcing him to be draped in feminine garments and endure jokes about the feminization he will suffer as a faithful husband.
Cool. I'm glad to know that that's ancient.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, by being temporarily expelled from manhood and cast as a woman, a groom is punished for his impending self-exclusion from the friend group.
Huh. So that's where they came from, huh?
Yep. The term bachelor was coined by Geoffrey Chaucer of Canterbury Tales fame.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think in Canterbury Tales.
For a second, I thought you were going to say Jeffrey Combs, and I was like, that wouldn't make sense, but it also would.
He doesn't get the credit for everything, Joe.
Yeah, that's true.
And the term bachelor party was from 1922.
So Chaucer in 1922, huh?
Yep, that's exactly how it happened.
Yeah. So it sounds like the one thing the Klingon bachelor party took from like the OG bachelor parties was like the kind of like almost like punishment element of it.
Yeah. And in Sweden, I never saw this while I was there, but bachelor parties are traditionally started with kidnapping the bachelor, which is kind of what happened in reverse to Bashir and Ryan. Like they just kind of got roped into a thing that they didn't know what they were about to do.
Yeah, no, they were. I thought it was. Yeah,
that seems like it would mesh well with a Klingon bachelor party, but wasn't what we saw on TV.
True. I think one of my favorite parts in the Klingon bachelor party scene was when. Was it like which one of you guys are going to go first for whatever was a pain thing or something?
Yeah, everybody steps back.
And like Cisco actively pulls Alexander back too to like make the joke work for Bashir. That was fun.
Didn't catch that.
Yeah, no, like he pulls him back. Like him and O'Brien look at each other and step back and he pulls Alexander back. That was good.
Why is
And
Martok exempt from being in the lineup of people? Just because he's the only one who knows what's going on?
I wonder if it's because of his more like almost paternalistic like element in the house. Like he's like the I don't know, like
Oh, yeah.
that kind of element. Like Worf's a part of his house, so like
Yeah.
he's not,
His
like
role
he's
as father of the groom gets special.
yeah, like it's kind of like that. Like he's not father per se, but like it's like some sort of like father figure in a sense. What do you think, Nikki?
Yeah, it seemed like he was kind of running the show. I mean, because presumably he's been through it.
Yeah, I
And
assume
so
that
this
was
is
just
Worf's
because
first time.
he was the only one who knew what was going on.
Oh yeah, and he's been, like you said, been through it before.
He's
That makes
married,
sense.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe that exempts you.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you're made for life and you've already done your own, although I don't know, I guess it says like you bring your friends along for it, but maybe it was all contrived just to like make Bashir and O'Brien go through that.
If they mate for life, what happens when a warrior dies an honorable death?
Oh, I guess you
His
get to get
wife
married again. I don't know.
I don't know if they do. Do they say don't they say single? Like there's lots of the old Klingons are not married.
Yeah, but isn't that why like the Grilka and Quark thing happened?
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, her husband did die. Oh, we'll have to watch those episodes again and figure out what's going on there. Maybe they do get remarried then. Well, listeners, you can add us with your thoughts on that. I kind of had a list I made. I just tried to figure out like relationships that have been like Klingon relationships we've seen in Star Trek and just like what examples that we have that were kind of interesting. And I know the other thing. Yeah.
Before we move away from the bachelor party.
We got one more
if
fun
anybody's
fact.
Interested, yeah, you can go to Christie's Auctions website and buy Worf's Kalhaya Klingon robe for, it looks like $1,000.
Oh my God. Oh yeah, you sent me that. That's right. So
if you guys get that Patreon up and running, I reckon that should be the first purchase of your what do you call your fans? DSLers?
DSLers. I don't know. We haven't really came up with a term. Do you have one?
No.
No, we got to think of one.
No.
Or if anyone listening has a good idea, again, add us or leave us a review with your idea. That's an even better one. I like that. I'm doing the plugging here, everybody. I'm not good at it, but I'm doing it.
This unnamed group of fans can buy you guys a robe that you have to wear every time you podcast.
Our dozens of fans. Yeah, I'm sure everyone would love to start signing up for a Patreon just so we can buy that robe. Yeah, I'm sure. Anyway, I'm glad to know that, though. You should send me the link, and I would put it in our show notes so people could see that. The thing I was going to say, I have a list of like Klingon relationships that we do see in Star Trek and kind of it's interesting to see where we see them in the franchise. And I know, Nicole, you wanted to talk a little bit about the actress who played Sirella too. You'd mentioned some interesting stuff about her as well. And then we'll get into our rating scale after that. But so we of course have like the Worf relationships. Worf and Kalar is the only Klingon relationship he had. Otherwise, he kind of had that thing with Troy and then Jadzia. Other ones are also like Klingon and then non-Klingon a lot, like B'Elanna Torres and Tom Paris. And there's like a couple one-off ones. There's like a Voyager episode with like a Klingon woman that like gets really into Neelix for a while when he's rooming with Tuvok. Do you remember that one, Mintz?
No.
It's a silly one. She gets they basically just make a whole lot of noise together while Tuvok has to deal with it because he's roommating with Neelix for some reason. There's other silly ones like Quark and Grilka too. We just talked about the only other kind of two other full-on Klingon relationships that I was able to find in my research, and there might be more, but these are the two that kind of were given a spotlight. There's in TOS, the episode Day of the Dove, we see Captain Kang, who later comes back in DS9, has his wife, Mara, who is actually the science officer on the ship. And so we do see her on TOS. And then the other one that we kind of see is in Discovery, which you could make the case for L'Rell and Volk. But then there's that whole like Ash Tyler weirdness really thrown in there that kind of makes it a whole different thing to unpack.
Oof, yeah.
Yeah.
That's hard to untangle.
Yeah. So it's interesting because like really like Martok and Sirella are probably our only example of like kind of healthy functioning, like full on Klingon like relationship.
Wow, I wonder what your rating's going to be, Joe.
We'll just have to wait to find out.
I feel like you just spoiled
I
it.
did not.
Okay.
Anyway, what were you going to say, Nicole?
Oh, speaking of like Sweden, it reminded me of another little piece of trivia. I learned that a Swedish couple were inspired to have a Klingon themed wedding because of this episode. So they
Costumes are probably cool.
Yeah, apparently the bride wore like a red dress, red robe instead of a typical white.
Oh, yeah, I kind of like the vibes. Yeah,
You have to
And they,
imagine
like,
there were a lot of Klingon weddings based on this episode.
Yeah, I suppose probably. I think that maybe these people did it at like the Destination Star Trek London event back in 2012 or something. So
kind of a big deal.
yeah. Anyway, that's fun.
Did you have that stuff about the actor who played Sirella?
Yeah. So her name is Shannon Cochran. No relation to Zephram, as far as I know. So she appeared in TNG. And of course, Deep Space Nine, and she had a supporting role in Nemesis.
Yeah, she was one of the Romulan senators there, right?
She was a Romulan senator, and then she was in the Maquis, I believe, in TNG. Kalita, a human Maquis resistance fighter.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I think Sirella was a good role. Like, it's a very memorable part especially now that I'm thinking about it more.
I think it is her most memorable. Really well, I don't know.
She was great. Yeah.
Talora, I think it was her name. In
Nemesis,
a co-conspirator of Shinzon.
There was a thing we'd read in some random like memory beta trivia or something about like how in the books like Martok meets this Romulan senator and comments on how she sounds like his wife or something because the actors are the same.
Oh,
that's great.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I was also. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna kind of jump on. We had talked shortly there about how the actress was at playing the role, and like for a character that's presented as like big and imposing and like dominating, she spends most of the episode doing that effectively. I enjoyed her character and her performance.
It's a small kind of goofy thing, but before she even meets Jadzia, and Worf and Jadzia are talking in her quarters, and she's set up those candles for I think some sort of ritualistic greeting or whatever. And Worf's like, did you not handcraft them from wherever on Kronos? And she's like, oh my God, like she's not going to care whether the candles are replicated. And then she does.
Yeah, you got to spend those 2 days traveling to Kronos to hunt targs and hand molding the candles or whatever.
It does set the tone for her character for the rest of the episode, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
What I was going to say was not only I thought it was maybe you're thinking of so that was the actress who played Sirella, but I actually I don't remember where. I think it might have been on the page for the Memory Alpha page for J.G. Hertzler, who plays Martok, but because he had apparently auditioned for several different roles in Trek and had not gotten the roles that he had auditioned for, and I don't know. I guess I don't know if his agent or whatever was like, okay, one last sort of audition, or it's Star Trek again, and I think he was sort of just like, you know what, they never really give it to me, so he kind of went in there and whatever he'd read about Klingons, and so it sounds like he just went kind of like bonkers as a Klingon in the audition, like so much that it impressed them, and to the point where like I think he wasn't supposed to be this like long-term like recurring guest, but he was doing Martok so well, or doing the Klingon so well, that he kept getting asked to come back, and the rest is history.
So he's just supposed to be a one-time character when they're on that Jem'Hadar prison? This is the first time we see him, I think.
I don't know. I'd have to go back. I should have.
Yeah, you don't need to answer that question.
I wasn't sure I was going to bring this up, but
I think it's a super cool like trivia piece. Like, and it's also interesting like to think about how like television was made back then. Like the idea, like I feel like I remember this being a thing like when one of the seasons of Picard came out where they said like, oh, we weren't able to finish the like whole story arc before we started filming, and that was like a really like big deal for a lot of people. And I'm thinking about like how what in like episode they're like, oh, this is going to be a one-off character, okay, we're going to make him like a major character like in the next like couple episodes just because we think it worked. Like back then like there was
slapping together.
They're just like going off what they feel like each week to week. Like the idea of like the grander arc, it was like really just made up as they were going. And so it's just interesting to see like that's another like a way that TV has really evolved and changed, you know.
Well, they just made TV shows like 1 week at a time, then, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, DS9
next week's episode right now.
Kind of. I mean, I don't know. There might have been like a couple week buffer or something, but like they had like DS9 has arcs, so like there was obviously like stuff mapped out, but like the stuff within it, like and things, and maybe even like the way things would end in the like would probably change as they were like going throughout the season.
Okay, I've got it here now. If you guys, okay. After auditioning for a number of roles and not getting them on Star Trek, Hertzler told his agent, "Don't send me up to Star Trek anymore. They've seen everything I could possibly ever do, and I haven't gotten a role. Don't waste their time or my time." However, shortly after his last audition, DS9 casting director Ron Surma came up to him and suggested he go for the role of Martok. In an unusual take on the role, he decided he wasn't going to be offensive, overbearing, self-possessed, arrogant, or boorish. I'm going to be Patrick Stewart as a Klingon. The producers then asked him if he knew what a Klingon was and requested he play the character in the traditional sense. And so in response, he picks up a metal chair and throws it against an old plaster wall. I caught my thumbnail. He catches his thumbnail when he tosses the chair. And so he like rips like half of his thumbnail off. And so he's like barely controlling this like rage. He threw a chair at the wall and now he's got blood dripping from his thumb. And then a day or two later, he found out he got the role. Martok was initially meant to be a one-time character to appear only in The Way of the Warrior, but the producers were so impressed that they decided to bring him back for Apocalypse Rising, which is when it's revealed he's a changeling. And so then from then on, he keeps coming back.
Okay. And the rest is history, right? And J.G. Hertzler then like appears in Enterprise and now in Lower Decks a few times.
Yeah, it's amazing. He's kind of spanned a lot now.
Yeah, he's great. I like him.
I like the idea of Patrick Stewart as a Klingon.
I do too. We do see Avery Brooks as a Klingon.
It's true.
Yeah, wish we said Patrick Stewart as a Klingon.
I'm trying to figure out which character I'd rather see J.G. Hertzler play. Like, what if he was captain of the Enterprise?
That would be interesting.
Do you think Sirella is as into him as he is into her?
This is a good question, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to save some of these thoughts for the rating scale or anything like that.
Okay, but I thought that's where you're transitioning. So
that was kind of where I was transitioning, but yeah,
Okay, you seem to have thoughts. You seem excited, so why don't you go?
I do. Okay, so all right, I'm gonna share my thoughts on our rating scale, and you guys can jump in after that. Rating scale for Deep Space Love, if you don't know, is a 5-point scale. It's patented. It's not really patented. I just say that. But we start at the bottom with red alert, toxic, yellow alert, slightly less toxic. Fascinating is kind of like in it. Fully functional, pretty good, and resistance is futile is hot, hot, hot. So I am giving this a generous.
Resistance is futile.
Resistance is futile.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay,
I think it. Mintz just fell. I think this more. That noise. I don't know what it was.
I was drumming on the table because I was excited.
Oh, I think it probably more so falls in, if we're being like really careful, like the fully functional category. But I'm gonna bump it up because here's my thought on. Well, first off, I'm just gonna go with Martok. Martok is just such a well-adjusted, like great character. Like he's such a fascinating character. He's so likable. He's wise. He's got this like sage kind of mentorship role with Worf. And he always has like really wise things to say. He's just
without being an old stuff.
Yeah. And we hear, okay. So here's the quote. Where he talks about Sirella. Talking about her being prideful, arrogant, blah, blah, blah. And he says, and yet I love her deeply. We often tout our prowess in battle, our desire for honor and glory above all else. But how hollow is the sound of victory without someone to share it with? And it's just like, he's just like this old romantic at heart. And I love that. He's so comfortable in the relationship that he's in. He knows the flaws that they have together. And he is like in love with her because of those almost. And that's powerful. Coming from the other side of it, we are also like outsiders viewing this Klingon relationship. So she comes in very hot where she says some stuff like, you're
She's like, you got fat.
yeah, she's basically like, you've gained weight, blah, blah, blah.
Why aren't
And
you
at
dead
first,
yet?
so my first is like, ooh, that's like kind of like doesn't really sound well, like what fat shaming kind of thing. But I'm
Yeah.
again, like we're coming as outsiders. Is that necessarily a bad thing? Or is that part of what they say in their culture that's like something that makes Martok feel good? Because right after she walked away, he was like, oh, isn't she magnificent? Like he dug it. He dug everything about that. So again, like from an outsider perspective, like I'm not willing to like say like what maybe Klingon culture sees those kind of comments to be, but whatever they have going on works. And I don't know. I think that she's like, she knows that's the stuff that he likes. She knows he's into her because of these things. And I think that they keep the relationship like spicy because of like all this kind of like back and forth, like, I'm going to say play that they kind of have with each other. Like he's afraid of her and she feeds into it. And I think she like probably knows it, you know? So I think it is great.
Wow. You got
Yeah.
really excited there.
I had thoughts. So,
You did.
should I pivot over to who wants to take it next? Mintz, Nicole, which one?
I mean,
I'll go. All right, first off,
Ryan brought this one to the table.
True. I was
so-
going to pivot to you. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
it's weird to hear you describe the 5-point patented rating scale without the drops dropped in there.
They will be in there.
A little bit more sausage, but for me as a avid listener, I was waiting for the drops, and then I realized they're not here.
Yeah.
But yeah, for all the reasons that you said, Joe, I am also resistance is futile.
Resistance is futile.
It's useless to resist it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Martok is undeniably into everything that Sirella is. I mean, the way he says magnificent, isn't she? That's all he could have said about her, and you know that he doesn't, or I was going to say he doesn't care what her flaws are, but he loves her flaws. If they are flaws in Klingon. I guess we don't know. And then from Sirella's standpoint, it seems like she relishes in the role that she plays in the relationship. Like, everything she says seems like she's saying it because she wants to be. She's not doing any of that relationship because she has to. She's calling him fat. She's belittling Jadzia, trying to stab her in the back, which is very dishonorable, by the way. But because she loves Martok and loves their like family, that their house that they have together. Yeah, they're great. They're the best. That's why we're here.
I think I mean, only because I feel like we don't see them together enough. I went fully functional.
I am fully functional.
I think we only see them share like maybe just that one scene. I'm not even sure if we see them share. I mean, they're both present at the wedding, but they're not necessarily interacting exactly in that scene. But based on what you both already said, and also the way, I mean, he's into her. He says he loves her deeply. We can all tell that, but he also doesn't like meddle in her affairs. He kind of says up front to Worf, he's like, I'm not gonna, this is her domain and I don't interfere. And, but, he knows Jadzia and, he cares about Worf deeply as well as a friend and, as a kind of like a fellow like member that he adopted into his house. Despite Sirella's wishes initially, but he at some point got her to come around, or I don't know. We don't exactly know how that went down, but he mentions that. But I just feel like the respect that is clearly there between them for kind of their roles, like you said, in the relationship and in the house overall, in the family, seems to be really well defined. And there's clearly like a history there, and yeah, it's just really well tracked and like a comfortable relationship. And I do have to say, it's awesome that like of all the relationships, even the ones we've done on the podcast so far, that like two Klingons, kind of like older Klingons, are kind of like one of our first like fully functional and like, you know, hard to resist.
Unanimously fully functional and above.
Yeah. Because I don't know. It says something I think about these two, that they're such a great example.
Yeah, you mentioned there that like when Martok is talking about Sirella's decision, like he's like, I don't meddle in that, and that doesn't bother him. He's happy with that arrangement. And then later he says she's accepted the fact that there's nothing she should do about it, to having Worf in the family. And like, assuming that's like on the face of it, like, yeah, she's okay with it because it was my decision. Like they clearly have some sort of structure that works. As unhealthy as that sounds from a like communication standpoint, you'd think you'd want to like take in the other person's wishes, but who knows?
Well, it's things we don't really get to see how their conversations go down necessarily. Like we don't necessarily see like what an argument around this kind of stuff would sound like, or how they reach compromise or whatever. But I don't know. Again, all off screen, but I don't know. I mean, in the end, it's Jadzia who goes to apologize. It's not Martok who goes to convince her. So
yeah.
Excellent.
Very good stuff. Thanks for bringing this one to us. I feel like I had thought initially that this was going to be a shorter one because there's so little to go off, but we actually had a lot. I mean, this is coming up on an hour here. I think over an hour now.
Well, again, like you mentioned, like they're kind of one of our, in the franchise, like one of the primary examples of like a Klingon marriage.
Yeah.
A functioning Klingon marriage.
It's kind of the only one to really go off of a lot of that stuff.
And so it kind of branches out into Klingon romance in general.
Yeah. Did you want to, Mintz, did you have any final thoughts about why you love Martok? I know you went into the beginning, but is there anything you want to share before we close out?
He's just so authentic in who he is. He's a boastful, prideful Klingon warrior, but like you guys talked about, he has a lot of like very wise things to say, and he says them all at the right time in the right way. He just seems like one of the most complete characters, and especially coming from a Klingon who are typically one-dimensional. I really enjoy seeing him on screen. That's all there is to it.
And his role in Worf's life as well, because Worf didn't really. I mean, we kind of touched on this. Slightly paternal figure, but also just genuinely a friend who's not necessarily scheming or, it's a really great Klingon friendship, warrior to warrior.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said with the TNG crew, like he's overwhelmingly competent at the things that he's doing. Except for that one time he tries to take over that ship that can't win a battle. He was really bad at that.
That one time. I think you could also even make a little through line of like Worf's development as a character, like from the end of Deep Space Nine in the movies to where he is at in season 3 of Star Trek Picard, how he's really like loosened up and kind of like has like really good like old warrior advice, like definitely taking a page out of Martok's book in a sense, like took his influence to heart. You could like make that case that
good shout.
Yeah, that could be where that came from.
I was thinking about that actually a little bit earlier. Mm-hmm.
So I like that. Wonder where Martok's at now in the timeline. In the Picard era.
Do you remember in that alternate reality that Q presents to Picard or whatever?
Oh yeah.
And wasn't it like Martok's skull was in
evil. Yeah.
So he's made into what, 4 series now? J.G. Hurt's?
I guess you could make that case.
At least mention
his skull or a model of his skull. Yeah. I like that. All right.
So, well, at least that's not actually.
Not in the real universe.
So, yeah. The real timeline or whatever.
Yeah. So I suppose we should wrap it out. Did you? I know that you are not on social media, right, Mintz?
Yeah, I assume anybody who is listening to this and wants to talk to me has my phone number.
So yeah, just call, right? Well, thank you so much again. No, it was truly fun. I think that as I mentioned in the beginning, like you have been like kind of like one of our original fans. Like you were excited when this was coming out, when we were making this, and been kind of a faithful listener, like texting us. So we appreciate your like faith in the podcast in a sense, and your love for Deep Space Love.
Yep, I do have a plug for your other podcast, Joe, because I am the mod at our Friendensteins, which I think currently has 6 members.
Oh, what?
And
6?
So any listeners
of
that smash hit podcast,
Frankenstein's podcast, yeah,
our Friendensteins.
And if you were confused about Mintz talking about sausage stuff, it's a reference to our other podcast, Frankenstein Podcast.
Our other podcast. It's you and Colleen.
Yeah, you're on it a lot though.
And you're the wife of the podcast.
Wifenstein.
Yes, but I just can't like.
By Klingon standards, you also own it.
This is true.
Great callback. Good plug. All right.
Yes, it was a blast to talk Klingons and to have you on, Mintz. Thank you so much. We don't have, every new episode that we drop is a surprise as to what the topic will be and when it will be dropped. So you'll just have to stay tuned. Don't hold your breath. But thanks for joining us on another great discussion about romance in Trek. And until next time, love long and prosper.